I wasn't supposed to see the email. It popped up on the conference room screen during a presentation glitch right there in front of everyone. Megan Torres had forwarded something to her mother, our CEO Victoria Ree. The subject line said, RE, Montgomery situation, and the preview text was crystal clear. Let him close Caldwell, then we move him out. Clean break. The room went dead silent. I'm Andrew Montgomery, 52 years old, and I'd just spent 17 years building Syntech's entire AI infrastructure division from nothing. Standing there with a laser pointer in my hand, looking at my own termination notice projected on a 90-inch screen, I felt something shift in my head. Not panic, not even anger, just cold calculation. Sorry about that, I said, killing the screen share. Tech issues. Let me pull it up on my laptop. Megan shifted in her seat. She knew I'd seen it. Her eyes met mine for half a second before she looked down at her phone. I finished the Caldwell Technologies pitch like nothing had happened. The deal was worth $67 million over 10 years. I'd structured every clause, every contingency, every performance metric myself. When I wrapped up 20 minutes later, the Caldwell team was nodding. Megan was typing furiously on her phone. I walked back to my office and closed the door. My hands were steady when I pulled out my phone. Need to talk. Tonight. My Uncle Randy replied in 10 seconds. Beer or whiskey? Whiskey. That bad? Worse. We met at McGill's, a quiet bar downtown where they didn't play music loud enough to drown out thinking. Randy was already there, 2 glasses of Maker's Mark on the table. He's 68, retired Air Force lieutenant colonel, and he's never wasted time on small talk. They're firing me, I said, sitting down. When? Soon as I closed the Caldwell deal, saw it in an email Megan accidentally put up on the conference room screen. Randy took a sip. Megan Torres? Victoria Ree's daughter? Yeah, she's been circling my position for 6 months, VP of Innovation, but she couldn't innovate her way out of a paper bag. Every presentation she gives is built on my team's work. She just repackages it with better graphics. So what are you going to do? I don't know yet. Bullshit. You've been running scenarios since you saw that email. I know how your brain works. He was right. I'd already mapped out a dozen possibilities during the 40-minute drive to the bar. They classified me as a contractor 3 years ago, I said, to avoid paying full benefits. Kept promising they'd convert me to full-time, but it never happened. Randy's eyebrow went up. No non-compete? I had Alan Ridgway check my paperwork last year when I was negotiating for a raise. He said I'm basically a free agent. No non-compete clause, no IP agreement, no exclusivity. Alan's sharp. He used to work at Syntech, didn't he? Head of compliance until he quit 2 years ago. Said he couldn't stomach the way Victoria runs things. Selective ethics, he called it. Randy finished his whiskey and signaled for another round. You're not telling me everything. I pulled out my phone and showed him an email from Eric Caldwell. It was dated 2 months earlier, sent after a meeting where we'd discussed risk mitigation strategies for their infrastructure rollout. Andrew, I've worked with a lot of firms over the years. Most of them send salespeople who don't understand the technology. You sent yourself, and you actually listened to what we needed instead of pitching what you wanted to sell. If you ever decide to do your own thing, call me. We'd back you without hesitation. Randy read it twice. You thinking what I think you're thinking? I'm thinking Syntech wants to use me one more time and then throw me away like a used paper towel. I'm also thinking that Caldwell deal isn't theirs until the contract is signed. And right now, it's sitting on my laptop, unsigned. They'll come after you. With what? I'm a contractor. No employment agreement, no IP clause, no non-compete. Alan already confirmed it. Everything I built was on my own time using my own methods. The only thing Syntech owns is their name on the letterhead. Randy leaned back. This is risky. So is being 52 years old with no job and a reputation for getting fired right after closing the biggest deal in company history. You think anyone's going to hire me after that? They'll assume I screwed something up. Fair point. He pushed the fresh glass toward me. What do you need? Time. And silence. If I'm going to do this, I need to set it up clean before they pull the trigger. How long? 2 weeks? Maybe 3? I need to form an LLC, get the legal structure airtight, and have a conversation with Eric Caldwell off the record. Randy nodded slowly. You told anyone else? Not yet. Austin Palmer, my assistant, he's sharp. Probably already suspects something's off, but I haven't said anything. Can you trust him? He's 29, brilliant with technology, and I've been mentoring him for 3 years. He turned down 2 offers from Google because he said he learns more working with me than he would anywhere else. Kids got loyalty, which is rare. Loyalty matters. Don't waste it. I won't. We sat there for a minute without talking. Someone at the bar laughed at something on their phone. A couple in the corner booth were having what looked like a serious conversation. Normal life, happening all around us while I planned to blow up my entire career. Randy looked at me. You're really going to do this? It wasn't a question. Yeah, I said, I am. Then quit sitting here feeling sorry for yourself and start planning. What's step 1? I pulled out a napkin and started writing. Step 1. Call Alan Ridgway first thing tomorrow morning. Step 2. Set up the LLC under a clean name. No connection to Syntech, no red flags. Step 3. Open a business account at a credit union, not one of the big banks where Syntech does their business. Step 4. Have the conversation with Eric Caldwell. Figure out if he meant what he said in that email. Step 5. Prepare for war. Randy looked at the napkin. That's not a plan. That's a to-do list. It's a start. He finished his whiskey and stood up. Call me if you need anything. And Andrew? Yeah? Don't second-guess yourself once you make the move. You hesitate, you lose. I drove home thinking about that. Don't hesitate. I'd spent 17 years at Syntech not hesitating, showing up early, staying late, delivering results nobody else could deliver. And what did I get for it? An email that said I was disposable. Not anymore. The next morning, I called Alan Ridgway from my car before heading into the office. He answered on the second ring. Andrew, what's going on? I need to set up an LLC. Clean, untraceable, completely separate from Syntech. There was a pause. They're letting you go. How'd you know? Because you're the 4th person from Syntech who's called me this year with the same request. Victoria Ree is cleaning house. She wants younger faces in leadership, cheaper salaries, easier to control, no institutional memory to push back on her decisions. Can you help me? Yeah, but we do this right. No shortcuts, no paper trails they can use later. When do you want to meet? Today. Lunch. We met at a diner off Route 17, the kind of place where nobody from Syntech would ever eat. Vinyl booths, coffee that tasted like it had been sitting since morning, and a waitress who called everyone on. Alan showed up with a leather folder and didn't waste time. We'll file the LLC under Montgomery Strategic Solutions, he said, sliding paperwork across the table. Simple, professional, nothing that raises flags. I'll use a registered agent service so your name doesn't show up in the public database right away. How much? $800 filing fee plus $200 for expedited processing. You'll have your LLC in 48 hours. I signed where he indicated. What about a business account? Open it at Metro Valley Credit Union. They're small, local, and they don't share systems with any of the big banks where Syntech does business. Keep everything separate. And the Caldwell contract? Alan looked at me over his coffee. You're taking it with you. It wasn't a question. The contract isn't signed yet, I said. And I'm a contractor, not an employee. You confirmed that last year. I did. And legally, you're clean. But Victoria won't see it that way. She's going to come after you hard. Doesn't matter if she has a case or not. She'll make noise, try to scare you, drag it out, let her try. What's she going to argue? That I can't work in my own industry? That clients I spent 17 years building relationships with belong to Syntech? Alan smiled, but it wasn't friendly. You've thought this through. I've had 17 years to think about what I'd do if they ever tried to screw me over. Now they're actually doing it. He pulled out another document. This is your operating agreement. Sign it. I'll file everything today. By Friday, Montgomery Strategic Solutions will be a legal entity. I signed. Alan packed up his folder and stood. One more thing, he said. When you make your move, do it fast. The moment they terminate you, they'll lock down everything. Email, files, client contacts. You need backups before that happens. That's when I thought about Austin Palmer. I found him that night in the server room running maintenance on a backup system. The building was empty except for us and the night cleaning crew. Austin. He looked up from his laptop. Hey, Drew. Didn't know you were still here. I need to ask you something. And I need you to be straight with me. He closed the laptop. Okay. If I told you I was leaving Syntech, what would you say? Austin didn't blink. I'd ask when we're leaving. I'm serious. So am I. You think I don't see what's happening? Megan's been taking credit for your work for months. Last quarter, she presented your entire risk analysis framework to the board without mentioning your name once. And Victoria lets her do it because she's her daughter. You notice that. Everyone notices. They just don't say anything because they're scared. I pulled a USB drive from my pocket. I need you to copy everything I've built in the last 3 years. Strategy decks, client files, contract templates. All original work, nothing proprietary to Syntex systems. Can you do it without leaving a trace? Austin took the drive. Give me 2 hours. Austin, if this goes sideways, it won't. And even if it does, I'd rather take the risk with you than watch Megan Torres pretend she knows what she's doing for the next 5 years. He was back in under 90 minutes. Handed me the drive without a word. Clean partition, he said. No metadata, no logs. You're good. Thank you. You taught me everything I know about this industry. This is the least I can do. I went home that night and couldn't sleep. Not because I was scared exactly, more like I was standing on the edge of something I couldn't see the bottom of. At 2:17 a.m., I was sitting in my kitchen staring at a glass of water when my phone rang. Randy, you okay? Yeah. Why? Because it's 2 in the morning and you just liked a photo I posted 3 weeks ago. You only scroll through old photos when you can't sleep. I laughed despite myself. Can't get anything past you. What's going on? I don't know if this is going to work. I keep running the numbers and there are too many variables. What if Caldwell changes his mind? What if the other clients won't follow? What if... Stop. You already made your decision. Now you finish it. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. You've got 2 choices. You can go back into that office tomorrow and pretend you didn't see that email. Let them use you for another month, maybe 2, then fire you anyway. Or you can take control of your own situation. You think it's risky? You're 52 years old. You know how many companies want to hire someone our age in tech? They want 30-year-olds who'll work 80 hours a week for half the salary. He was right. I'd seen it happen to colleagues. Get pushed out at 50, spend 2 years applying for jobs, finally end up as a consultant making a third of what they used to make. You still there? Randy asked. Yeah? Good. Now stop overthinking it and get some sleep. You've got work to do tomorrow. I hung up and sat there for another minute. Then I pulled out my laptop and opened the Caldwell contract. Every clause, every contingency, every performance metric was exactly where it needed to be. This wasn't just a good contract. It was the best work I'd ever done, and in 3 days it was going to have a different company name on it. I went to bed at 3:00 a.m. and slept straight through until 6:30. When I woke up, I knew exactly what I had to do next. Eric Caldwell didn't do business in conference rooms if he could avoid it. When I called and asked if we could meet off the record, he suggested Riverside Golf Club at 7:00 a.m. on Saturday. I got there early. Eric was already on the practice range, hitting balls with the kind of easy rhythm that comes from decades of practice. He's 58, built like someone who still runs every morning, and he'd built Caldwell Technologies from a 12-person startup into a company with 3,000 employees. Andrew, he said, offering his hand. Glad you called. Let's walk. We took a cart out to the 5th hole where the course runs along the river and you can't see the clubhouse. Nobody around but us and a groundskeeper in the distance. So, Eric said, what's going on? I'm leaving Syntec. He didn't look surprised. When? Soon. They don't know yet, but I saw an email. They're planning to fire me as soon as the Caldwell deal closes. That's short-sighted of them. That's Victoria Ree. She'd rather promote her daughter than keep someone who actually knows how to do the work. Eric pulled out a club and lined up a shot. I'm going to ask you some hard questions. You okay with that? Go ahead. He hit the ball, watched it arc across the fairway. Why now? You've been at Syntec for 17 years. You could ride this out, take the severance, find another position somewhere else. Because I'm 52. You know how many companies want to hire someone my age in tech? They want 30-year-olds who'll work for half the salary and don't push back on bad decisions. Fair. He grabbed another ball. Next question. That contract we've been negotiating, the $67 million deal, where does that stand? It's ready to sign. Every clause is finalized. I just haven't sent it yet. Because I'm not signing it as a Syntec employee. I'm signing it as the founder of Montgomery Strategic Solutions. Eric stopped mid-swing and looked at me. You're taking the deal with you. I built that contract. Every performance metric, every contingency plan, every risk mitigation strategy came from me. Syntech's only contribution was their name on the letterhead. They're going to sue you. Let them. I was never an employee. They classified me as a contractor 3 years ago to avoid paying benefits. No non-compete, no IP clause, nothing enforceable. My lawyer already confirmed it. Eric hit another ball, taking his time. What makes you think the board will approve working with a company that doesn't exist yet? Because you're not working with a company, you're working with me. That's what you said in your email 2 months ago, remember? If you ever decide to do your own thing, call me. I remember. So here I am, calling you. He pulled out a 9-iron and handed it to me. Your shot. I took the club, lined up, hit the ball clean down the fairway. Not bad, Eric said. Here's my concern. You're making a big move based on one deal. What happens if it doesn't work out? What if the other clients don't follow you? Then I fail. But I'd rather fail trying to build something of my own than succeed making someone else rich while they plan my exit. Eric nodded slowly. Okay, I'm in. But you need to understand something. We're not doing this because we feel sorry for you. We're doing this because your work is better than anyone else's in this space. You screw up, we're out. I won't screw up. Good. He loaded the clubs back into the cart. Send me the contract with your new company name on it. I'll take it to the board Monday morning. We drove back to the clubhouse. Before I got out, Eric looked at me. One more thing. Victoria's gonna come after you hard. She doesn't like losing, and she especially doesn't like losing to people who make her look bad. You ready for that? I've been ready for 17 years. 3 days later, it happened. I walked into the office at 8 o'clock a.m. Everything seemed normal until I got to my desk and my computer wouldn't log in. Access denied. My phone buzzed. Email from HR. Your employment with Syntech is terminated effective immediately. Your credentials have been deactivated. Please do not attempt to access company systems. I was reading it when my office phone rang. Internal extension. Victoria Ree. Andrew, can you come to the executive conference room, please? I walked down there. Victoria was sitting at the head of the table. Megan was next to her, trying to look sympathetic and failing. Have a seat, Victoria said. I stayed standing. I'm good. We're making some organizational changes, she continued. The board has decided to move in a different direction with the leadership structure. We appreciate everything you've contributed, but we think it's time for new energy in the division. New energy, I repeated. That's what you're calling it. Megan spoke up. We're not saying you didn't do good work, Andrew. We're just saying the company needs to evolve. Right. Evolve. And I'm sure you have someone in mind to take over my role. Victoria folded her hands. Megan will be transitioning into a broader strategic role. She'll be overseeing the AI infrastructure division along with her innovation responsibilities. I looked at Megan. She couldn't hold eye contact. Well, I said, good luck with that. You're going to need it. Andrew, Victoria said, her voice harder now. We're offering you a generous severance package. 3 months salary, continuation of health insurance, and a positive reference. All you need to do is sign a non-disclosure agreement and a non-solicitation clause. Non-solicitation. Yes. You agree not to contact any Syntech clients or employees for a period of 2 years. I almost laughed. You want me to sign away my ability to work in my own industry? We want to protect the company's interests. No thanks. Victoria's expression went cold. If you don't sign, you get nothing. No severance, no reference, nothing. I'll survive. I walked out of that conference room, took the elevator down, and walked out of the building for the last time. In my car, I pulled out my phone and opened my personal email. To Eric Caldwell, from Andrew Montgomery. Subject, Caldwell Infrastructure Project, signature ready. Eric, I'm ready. Contract attached, updated with Montgomery Strategic Solutions as the signing entity. Let's build something great. I attached the PDF and hit send. Then I drove home and waited. Eric Caldwell called me at 3:47 p.m. I was sitting in my apartment staring at my laptop, trying not to refresh my email every 30 seconds. Andrew, we're approved. Board voted 9-1 in favor. Contracts being processed now. First payment will hit your account within 72 hours. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Thank you. Don't thank me. You earned it. We'll announce Friday morning. Be ready for fallout. He wasn't kidding. Friday at 9 a.m., Tech Edge Daily published the story. Caldwell Technologies signs $67 million AI infrastructure deal with Montgomery Strategic Solutions, a new firm founded by former Syntech strategist Andrew Montgomery. My phone started blowing up. I ignored most of it. But then the emails started coming in from clients. Patricia Keene from Veltic Solutions was first. Andrew saw the announcement. We want to move our account to Montgomery Strategic. Leadership vote was unanimous. We stayed with Syntech because of you. Now we're following you. Then Graham Fisher from Healthbridge Analytics. Not surprised to see your name on the Caldwell deal. Let's talk about transitioning our contract to your new company. By noon, I had interest from 6 major clients, but not everyone was ready to jump. Claire Davidson from North Point Systems called me directly. Andrew, I saw the news. I'm interested, but I need to understand something. You've got one client and no track record as an independent. What happens if this doesn't work out? We can't afford to be in the middle of a migration if your company folds in 6 months. Fair question. Claire, I get it. Here's what I can tell you. I've got $67 million in confirmed contracts, a team of 3 experienced people, and 17 years of relationships in this industry. But you're right to be cautious. Give me 90 days. Watch how we handle the Caldwell rollout. If we execute the way I say we will, then we talk about transitioning your account. She was quiet for a moment. Okay, 90 days. But Andrew, don't screw this up. A lot of people are watching. I won't. That was the first real test. Not everyone was going to follow blindly. I had to prove it. The second test came 3 days later when I got a letter from Syntech's legal department. They were suing for client interference, breach of fiduciary duty, and misappropriation of trade secrets. I called Alan immediately. They're serious about this, I said. Of course they are. Victoria can't let you walk away with their biggest deal without making noise. But here's what you need to understand. This lawsuit has no merit. They're hoping you'll panic and settle. I'm not settling. Good. Because I've already drafted our response. He sent it over. It was 3 pages of surgical legal writing that essentially said, Mr. Montgomery was an independent contractor with no non-compete agreement, no IP assignment, and no fiduciary duty to Syntech. The company cannot now claim employee obligations when it spent 3 years classifying him as a contractor to avoid paying benefits. I'm filing this tomorrow, Alan said. And I'm CCing the State Bar Ethics Committee. Their lawyer is Matthew Ivers. I taught him everything he knows. He'll see this and advise Victoria to drop it. How long will that take? 2 weeks, maybe 3. They'll push back once or twice to save face, but they'll fold. He was right. For 2 weeks, we traded legal filings. Syntech tried to argue that I'd violated implied confidentiality agreements. Alan destroyed that argument by producing my original contractor agreement that explicitly stated I retained ownership of my work methods and client relationships. On week 3, I got a 1-line email from Syntech's legal department. Plaintiff withdraws complaint. Matter closed. No apology, no acknowledgement. Just done. Meanwhile, Austin was proving why I'd made him my COO. One of our early clients, a mid-sized firm called DataCore, was getting cold feet about the transition. Their CTO was nervous about switching to a company that was only 6 weeks old. Austin handled it himself. He set up a call, walked them through our entire security infrastructure, showed them our disaster recovery protocols, and gave them direct access to our monitoring systems. By the end of the call, they weren't just staying, they were expanding their contract. How'd you learn to do that? I asked him afterward. Watched you do it about 100 times. You always said people don't buy services, they buy confidence. I just gave them confidence. You did more than that. You just saved us a $2.3 million contract. He shrugged. That's the job, right? Yeah, that's the job. 6 months later, I was standing in our new office in Lower Manhattan. Real office this time, not a co-working space. 12,000 square feet, 3 conference rooms, space for 60 employees. We had 47 people. Now, with another 8 starting next month. Austin walked in with a bottle of whiskey. Thought you might want this. What's the occasion? Syntech just posted their quarterly earnings. Revenue down 40%. Stock dropped 31% in 2 days. Victoria Ree is being investigated by the board for mismanagement, and Megan Torres was demoted to a junior advisory role. I looked at the bottle. Maker's Mark. Same whiskey Randy and I drank the night this all started. You know what the best part is? Austin said. We didn't have to destroy them. They destroyed themselves. I poured 2 glasses. To building something real. We drank. Austin set down his glass. So what's next? I walked over to the whiteboard on my wall. 3 targets circled in red marker. Department of Defense contracts, healthcare infrastructure, financial services modernization. All sectors where Syntech used to dominate because of work I'd built. We're going after the federal contracts Syntech used to own. They built that division off my work. Time to take it back. When do we start? Already started. I've got a meeting with DoD procurement next Tuesday. Patricia Keene is introducing me to her contacts at Treasury, and Graham Fisher knows someone at HHS who's looking to replace their current vendor. Austin grinned. They have no idea what's coming. No, I said, they really don't. Some people get even. Others build better. If you've ever turned betrayal into fuel, hit subscribe. We share stories like yours every day. Outside the window, the city was settling into evening. Somewhere out there, Megan Torres was probably still at her desk, trying to figure out how to explain to her mother why they'd lost 8 major clients in 6 months. I didn't care anymore. Their company, their problems. I had my own empire to build.